I moved to Canada with just a suitcase when I was 26, and I know I'm not the only one. In 2023 alone, more than 470,000 people made that same move. But in today's world, where moving countries is as much about making ends meet as it is about chasing dreams, many people are asking, is moving to Canada still worth it? Today, I want to explore that question honestly. We'll look at 5 key areas: cost of living, job market, healthcare, taxes, and housing. So without further ado, let's get into it. First is cost of living. In a 2024 survey, 43% of recent immigrants reported having difficulty meeting basic financial needs like housing, food, and transportation. Overall, about 1 in 3 Canadians were struggling to make ends meet in early 2024 due to a spike in living costs. On average, a single person in Canada needs about 2,500 Canadian dollars per month to cover living expenses. A family of 4 might need around 5,000 Canadian dollars per month for basics. And remember, these are national averages. Big city life is pricier. It's common advice that you shouldn't spend more than 30% of your income on housing. But in Canada, most people spend between 35% to 55% of their income just on housing and utilities. To put it in perspective, the average household income in Canada is about 70,000 Canadian dollars per year. After taxes, it's less. The bottom line is, Canada isn't cheap, especially not the major cities. The upside is that if you can weather the first year or two and secure a good job, you may start to find your footing. It's a tough adjustment, and for some, it's so tough that they consider giving up. In fact, a small but growing number of immigrants have started leaving Canada after a few years because of cost pressures. So if you're planning a move, save up a financial cushion because it takes time to find a stable job and income. Next up is the job market. This is huge. For many skilled immigrants, your career is the reason you're considering Canada. Maybe you're a software developer, an engineer, a doctor or a nurse, or a skilled tradesperson. You've heard Canada needs people like you, and that's absolutely true. For example, about 1 in 4 healthcare workers is an immigrant. So how easy is it for you to get a job that matches your skills? The answer is, it depends on your field and where you go. It's common to experience the Canadian experience paradox. Employers want you to have Canadian work experience before they hire you, but of course, as a newcomer, you have none. This can be very frustrating and even demoralizing. A recent report noted that a good portion of highly skilled newcomers end up not finding work at their skill level initially. You might have to start over in a sense, perhaps taking a more junior role or a related job in your industry and working your way up. For example, I met an IT project manager from India who had 10 years experience, but in Canada, he could only find work as an Uber driver at first. These stories are common, but they are not permanent. If you're prepared to hustle, possibly downgrade for a short period, and leverage any and all opportunities that come your way, you will likely find a good job in time. Third is healthcare. One of Canada's pride points is its universal healthcare system. It's a huge safety net and arguably one of the best things about living in Canada. However, and this is a big however, free doesn't always mean accessible. Canada's healthcare system is overburdened. You might have heard the joke that says, Canadian healthcare is free if you live long enough to access it. In 2024, Canadians face an average wait of 30 weeks, so that's over 7 months, for specialist treatments after a general practitioner referral. I'll say that again. If your family doctor decides you need to see, say, an orthopedic surgeon for a knee problem, the average wait to actually get the surgery or specialist treatment was around 7 months. This is far above what's considered medically reasonable. And that 30-week average was the longest wait time ever recorded in Canada's healthcare system up to 2024. Finding a family doctor or primary care physician can be a challenge too. About 5.4 million Canadian adults, roughly 17%, don't have a regular family doctor or primary care provider as of 2023. That's roughly 1 in 6 adults without easy access to basic healthcare. This shortage of GPs mean many rely on walk-in clinics where you see whichever doctor is available, or in worst cases, they go to ER for non-emergency issues because they have nowhere else. Emergency rooms, for example, can have very long waits for non-urgent issues. Some ERs in big city hospitals see waits for 8 to 12 hours for less critical cases, and there have been reports of even 22-hour waits in extreme cases. If it's truly life-threatening, you'll be seen fast. If not, it might be valuable to pack a phone charger and a book. In the end, it's a mixed bag. Canada offers universal healthcare, which is a relief and arguably a superior model to places without universal coverage. But the trade-offs are real. You will likely wait longer for non-urgent medical issues. You might initially struggle to even get a family doctor, and you'll probably want supplemental insurance for things like dental. Next, let's talk about taxes. Canada has a reputation for being a high tax country, and it's true. Compared to places like the US or some Asian countries, when you get your first paycheck in Canada, you might do a double take at the amount that goes to taxes and deductions. But remember all those free services like healthcare? This is where you start paying for them. So how much tax will you pay? Canada uses a progressive income tax system. As of 2025, federal income tax rates range from 15% on the first $57,000 of income up to 33% on income above $253,000. Then each province adds its own income tax on top, ranging roughly from 4% on the low end up to 21% for the highest earners provincially. Add them together and the top combined marginal tax rate in some provinces like Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia is around 50% or slightly more. Now, what do you get for these taxes? We've already discussed the big one, which is universal healthcare coverage, which in many other countries you'd pay for separately or via insurance. Another big one is education. Public schooling from kindergarten through high school is free for all residents. Other benefits funded by taxes is employment insurance or EI. If you lose your job, you can get temporary income support, usually around 55% of your previous earnings for up to 45 weeks, depending on how long you worked. Maternity and paternal leave benefits. New parents can get EI benefits while they take time off. Canada allows up to 12 months paid at 55% wage or up to 18 months at a lower rate, which is far more generous than what's available in the US, for example. Canada Pension Plan or CPP, when you retire, you get a pension from the government. How much depends on contributions, but it's there as a base. Welfare and social assistance. If you fall into serious financial hardship, each province has a program to provide basic income support. Now, none of this is to say Canada is a utopia of benefits. You do pay dearly in taxes for them. If you're young and single with a high income, you might feel you're putting in more than you get out in the short term. There's also the debate that some social systems breed complacency. The ethos here is you pay a fair share and in return, you and society at large get certain guarantees. Education, health, infrastructure, and support if times get tough. Whether that deal is worth it is a personal value judgment. Many people would say yes, it's part of why they choose Canada over the US, which might offer higher pay but far less social support. All right, now it's time for the fifth and final, the question of housing. Housing in Canada is, in a word, tough. If you've read any news about Canada in the past couple of years, you've probably seen headlines about a housing affordability crisis. For newcomers, this is often the single hardest part of settling, finding a decent but affordable place to live. As of 2024, house prices are among the highest in the world relative to incomes in cities like Toronto and Vancouver. For example, the average home price in Greater Vancouver in April 2025 was about 1.2 million Canadian dollars. Toronto is in a similar ballpark, around 1.1 million Canadian dollars for an average property. To put it plainly, many Canadians and newcomers are priced out of home ownership, especially in BC and Ontario. Now, renting is the route most immigrants take on arrival, but rents have been soaring too, especially post-pandemic, when immigration ramped up and many young people moved out of their parents' homes. This is probably the biggest downside to moving to Canada right now. I know some immigrant families that decided after a few years that they'd rather live in a country where their money goes further housing-wise. Some moved to smaller US cities or back to their home country after getting Canadian citizenship. So after exploring all this, cost of living, jobs, healthcare, taxes, housing, we come back to the personal question. Is moving to Canada still worth it? Perhaps the most honest answer is it's worth it if your goals align with what Canada offers. If you seek safety, public services, a clean environment, and opportunities for your children, Canada scores extremely high. Those things are worth a lot if you've come from a place lacking them. If your goal is to get rich quick or live luxuriously on a modest income, Canada might not be the place for you. There's a sense that if you work hard here, you can build a comfortable, if not extravagant life. For me personally, after years here, I've had moments of doubt. Watching cost of living and housing prices soar, paying what sometimes feel like criminally high taxes, and missing the comforts of home. But I've also had moments of profound gratitude, like having a flexible, good-paying job that lets me work on my own schedule and explore a path that feels true to me. But even now, I still don't fully know. Some days I feel like a yes, some days feel like a no, but ultimately moving to Canada or anywhere is a leap of faith. Whatever you decide, remember that no place is perfect, but there will be a place that's perfect for you. So if Canada is calling you, at least now you know what to expect when you answer.